Today, I'm very excited to have Hiren Shah with me. You heard him recently on a CPQ podcast episode. He is the founder of B2B Matrix, and he had presented the solution that we talked a little bit about, but I thought it would be much more helpful to actually see it. That's why Hiren is here today. Very excited to have him. Hiren, just take it away.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for the opportunity. I enjoyed your earlier discussion, and let's take a look at what we discussed in a little greater detail. I have a PowerPoint presentation to help us facilitate the flow. And please feel free to ask me questions at any time. So what we are talking about is a Salesforce AppExchange package, which has been there for about a year. It is free and it works with any object in Salesforce. And we will provide the link to the AppExchange as to whoever needs it, and then our contact information is there. It is in use by multiple customers. And today we'll look at 5 key features. Each of these have sub features, but today we'll just take a quick look at the high level, and then we are happy to go deeper into it. So let me go through each one of them. So first one is, what does this package really do? Well, it provides visual intelligence that guides users to the right action. So what does that mean? So let us take that in the context of a scenario. So for the purposes of this discussion, we will take the example of a quote. So within a quote, there are many possibilities, and there are many users who have been asking us for capabilities such as the ones that you see over here, such as personalization or being able to focus exactly on, let's say, what needs to be approved, or let's say being able to filter easily. So let me go ahead and actually show it to you because it'll make more sense. So this is on the left-hand side, you see the standard Revenue Cloud Advanced, or now it's called ARM. You see the standard quote line screen. And this is what it would look like once you layer our app on it. It would sit right next to it. You'd see some extra tabs. The number of tabs are customizable. And since we are actually I have a demo system up and running, I can show it to you in the actual system. So this is your normal look and feel. And this is the same information rendered in a much more intuitive way. I'll just show you a couple of features and then we'll move on to the next one. So for example, you can pin columns to the left or the right. Or for example, if you wanted to see all your line items by selling model type, you could group them. So now you can see it. Or you can do multi-level grouping. So now you're grouping them by selling model and by discount types. And this is just 1 or 2 examples. And you can also at any point in time export. And all of these columns that you see are very easily adjustable. And finally, I can filter it very easily. So if I were to see all of antivirus, it easily, quickly filters it for me. So the point is, how do you drive people using the visual cues to appropriate decision making, such as red require approval, yellow may not, blue may reflect something else in the organization, etc.
Got it.
Let me come back to my presentation and let me show you the second part of the second feature. And this app is now what we call turbocharged. So we all are aware of customers using some kind of Google Sheet or an Excel sheet, and people like the experience, but there are issues with having distributed sheets all over the place. So what we have done is try to figure out a way where we can take advantage of all of the features of this excellent tools, but right within the context of where you are. So again, I'll continue with the coding example. This would apply to opportunities. It would apply to Service Cloud. It would apply to many other areas as well, Manufacturing Cloud. But we'll continue with the coding example in the interest of continuity. And we'll see how we can leverage the familiar spreadsheet power directly in Salesforce. So if I go back to the same screen, this is what I normally see, but now you see some tabs over here, which are totally customizable. But the important thing is you see let us imagine this is a sheet that reflects some complex calculation, but it appears right where you need it. And the information flows back and forth between Salesforce and this sheet. Same thing with here. This is another example of where you could actually construct a very detailed code within your sheet and then import it back into the Salesforce area. So this is an example of how the power of Excel and Google is available right exactly, not in a disconnected process. And usually people would access it only from here. So it saves you from the issue of having sheets all over the place.
Excellent.
So then let me go to the third piece that I want to talk about. The third feature is that this is a very scalable system. So what we figured is, imagine somebody is doing an RFP where somebody's working on the discovery section, somebody's working on the implementation section, somebody's working on the integration piece. So a lot of things need to come together. So how can we have collaborative code management where different people can have their own view of the code? Another use case is sometimes you have 5 different codes that you're doing for the same project, but you would like to have, for many reasons, a uniform visibility across all of them. One of the reasons could be that each code can handle only maybe a few hundred line items. But now you have split it into 5 into logical fashion, but you really want to look at it as one project. So let's go, and in this case, I'm going to bring up a CPQ screen because that is where we have the demo set up. So here is an example of a code with a bunch of line items. And if I were to go ahead and pick a code with much more, so the one that I showed you had about 20 line items. But if I were to now go and pick a code which has many, many more line items, we will see how that appears. So you are brought into the familiar code line user interface. But now if I go into a tab called multi-code, what this is doing is, based on some predefined logic, it is aggregating the lines from many different codes and rendering it all on the same screen. I could easily use the grouping feature to see that in this case, these are the 5 codes it has brought together. And the total number of line items in this across all 5 is about 1,341. But you can see how fast it is. I mean, how quick it is. So it's very scalable. You can have people, and all of this can be exported to Excel and all of that. So this is an example of how we are able to address the scalability issue, which applies, by the way, not only to CPQ, but also to RCA.
Yeah, very true.
The next feature is something which we are a little bit more excited about because it's recent and we have gotten some good feedback on it, is the zero copy real-time ERP or backend visibility at the point of decision. So we see in many projects, there is a fair amount of integration necessary for the appropriate ERP data to be surfaced in Salesforce for decision making. And these usually undergo complex integrations, maybe 2 or 3 months per integration. So our approach is, why is there a way for you to virtualize this information or almost offer like a window into your backend system right within Salesforce and be able to act upon the data, but you're not forced to actually make a copy of the data in Salesforce. So it's virtual or it's zero copy. So now we are able to bridge the gap between sales and operations, or for that matter, sales and any other system, without really undertaking a complex middleware exercise. So let's take a look at that. So for that, we are going to take the example again, since we have the liberty of having a system in front of us. I'll go into the system. So the use case in this example, if I go back to this code and the main edit lines page, the use cases, I have a few products on my code, but some of them have an inventory component, and I'd like to know what the inventory is before I really make any commitments. So in this example, the first 5 products are which have inventory in my backend SAP system. So when I click on SAP stock inventory, it pushes all this information and makes an API call to SAP in real time and pulls in the inventory information and displays it over here. Now we see the benefit of the multiple features coming together. So not only are we doing a zero copy, but if we take into account the first thing we started with, which was the visual intelligence, now we marry it together. I've got interesting feedback that this looks better than their SAP screen because now we have that layer where they can group their materials, look at the inventory by plants and in different ways. And again, all this information can then be actionable for approvals, for pricing, for delivery dates, etc., within your Salesforce system.
And one question here. So is that only for the SAP system or you do that for any other ERP systems as well?
Yes, we currently have done it for SAP and we have done it for NetSuite, as you can see on the top over here. And it is not limited to only inventory, it's also for orders and for deliveries. And then the others, we plan to do it on demand as necessary, but the infrastructure is in place.
Got it. And how long does it take to do a custom implementation, high level?
For example, if you were to say, I would like to see all NetSuite information related to invoices related to this customer, it would take us, let's say, 1 day to just point to NetSuite with the API, pull it and display it over here.
Okay, got it. So very fast.
Very fast. Yeah, and the benefit is partially ours because we have the system in place, but also I should say the credit goes to the underlying ERP systems that over a period of time have exposed their REST APIs in a robust format, making it easy for systems like us to call it. And then we do all the massaging of displaying it in a intuitive way.
Got it. Excellent.
The final thing, of course, no conversation can be complete unless we talk about AI. So if that's where we are going next. So how do we again bring in AI into really embed it into the process? So we'll continue with a coding example. And here the example is where we are able to either use Agentforce or we are able to use bring your own LLM. And in this example, I'll show you the screenshot that is coming up where the information goes over. And if I go back to my screen, you see there is a tab which says AI pricing guidance. So one common theme you'll see, Frank, is that here is my quoting screen, or either in CPQ, or if I'm over here, here is my coding screen in RCA. The idea is all of the information that you need is right there where you need it. You're not really going somewhere else. So your AI pricing guidance, which we have now set up for CPQ, it will eventually be set up for RCA, appears right here based on what is happening on the quote. And the example that we have in this case is that it sends the product information over and it comes back based on product recommendations, minimum order quantity, payment terms. And if you were to do this, if you were to sell this product instead of the one you have, what is your deal probability? So it comes back, shows all this information. So the last thing I would end is with this AI is now if we bring 3 or 4 of the features we talked about, is where we are going next is we would like to for the AI to work not only on the information that we are sending to it, but also information which we are virtualizing through systems from SAP or NetSuite, and then run AI. So now let's think about what is happening. Now we are able to run AI on data that is not in Salesforce, but in real time, pulled from your backend system, bring it into the prompt builder, surface the AI results right where you're quoting.
Excellent. Very interesting. And just as a reminder for everyone who listened to it, so the whole tool is free online, right? So can you show the link again where where folks can download it? Perfect.
So this is a link. Of course, it may be hard for people to look at it from a video, but we are happy if you send us an email. We are happy to send more details to you and the associated configuration guide and everything. And I should also add that we are also happy to assist you in customizing it if you need it. It's absolutely very easily customizable, but we can still happy to assist you.
Perfect. We will have all these notes and links in the show notes. So, Hiren, thank you very much for taking the time to show that today.
I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to do so, Frank.